past starting time, so we'll call this meeting of the Whitestown Board of Zoning Appeals to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Staff, wonder if you call roll, please.
Matt Doublestein.
Present.
Brian McKee.
Here.
Kyle Weathers.
Present.
Brian Sheward. Sarah Ford.
Present.
Thank you. Move on to approval of the agenda. Board, we do have a request to add an item. We do need an item to authorize Mr. Molitor to represent us in an upcoming legal case. So if we could have a motion to add that to the agenda, and then we'll approve it.
I'll make a motion to add to the agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And a motion to approve the agenda then as a whole. We need a motion to approve the agenda as a whole. Very good.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. If you had a chance to look at the minutes, notice that there are two items here, both the February 2nd regular meeting and the special meeting from February 16th.
Make a motion to pass both minutes.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. This portion of our agenda is dedicated to public requests to speak on topics not related to an agenda item. We do ask that the public would limit comments to 3 to 5 minutes, and we do have one request to speak I believe would belong here. James Gamble. Mr. Gamble, are you here?
I believe it's actually on an item on the agenda.
Looks like
Okay.
not the first item.
Forgive me, sir. We'll wait until the agenda item. I'm sorry about that. Are there any others who might request to speak? Don't have any requests on the forum. Seeing none. Any presentations or unfinished business? Moving on then to new business in the public hearing. Docket BZA 17-002-SE Moontown Brewery special exception. And this would be our new business. Staff, wonder if you begin by presenting the item.
Yes. So the RDC originally, council purchased this building. If you're not familiar with the building, it's the old high school down in the Legacy Core. They purchased this building, and then the RDC actually has ownership of it currently. We're in the process of selling it if we have not already gone through the official due diligence process, but it has been sold to an individual who's going to do a brewery use. And so the Plan Commission did amendments to the UDO defining brewery and production of brew items, and so the UDO better reflects this, and then also certain zoning districts where this use would be located in. This current zoning district that this old high school is located in is currently zoned general business, and with those amendments this would require a special exception to allow this use. Dax, do you want to come up and speak a little bit more? Did I miss anything?
It's Dax then.
I'm Dax Norton, Town Manager, Town of Whitestown. This is a project that's been going on for about 15 months. If you don't know about it, you may just look at the paper, or you just, I don't know. It's a very good project. We have a building that we own that's currently falling down by neglect, quite frankly. It's one of our very few historic structures in town. And let's see, it must have been last year that the building was conveyed to the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission plans to grant the building to the Moontown Brewery folks. And so, been through a lot of due diligence, been through the EDA process. We've done a lot of studies about how this kind of product can actually increase the property values in areas in which it's placed. The Historic Preservation Commission created a historic district, the first ever in the town. There were two purposes for that, obviously, to create a historic district, and next was for the purposes of the brewery. As they went through the process, and they would have to report to the brewery would have to report to the Historic Preservation Commission as they did their renovations, so especially for the outside of the project. So we're here to, as Lauren said, town has is the petitioner for the special exception tonight.
Thank you. Is there anything additional from staff? Any additional staff report?
I do want to note, if you see in the staff report on page 2 and 3, the criteria that they have to meet, they did answer these questions about business hours and what kind of facility this will have. It'll be a brew pub with a restaurant and I believe a tasting room and eventually some meeting space so people can rent out the space as well too. So if you want to read through that more in detail, it's also on the agenda hyperlinked and also on our website too. Do we want to do staff report?
Yes.
Okay. Staff recommends that the BZA approve the special exception allowing a brewery use within the general business zoning with the following commitments. 1, noise and deliveries will be limited to business hours and abide by local ordinances. 2, no odorous vapors will adversely affect adjacent property owners. 3, the special exception is only specific to the brewery use as defined in the UDO. Additional outside storage or unpaved storage areas are not included in this request.
Thank you. There's nothing else from town, then we move on to the public discussion. Is there anyone from the public in support of this item that would like to speak? Or neutral? Anyone in opposition to this variance?
I would do the request to speak form
Yes.
first.
I'm not sure whether I'm speaking in favor of or opposed to. I'm glad that we found somebody to go to occupy the old school. I graduated from that school.
Wonderful.
My concern is the noise. The way this reads, I'm reading from the intention, the narrative description. It says that they're going to hold concerts, but the way that's worded, it appears they're going to be held in the old gymnasium. But in the paragraph above, it talks about outdoor seating. And my concern is if the noise or the bands, the concerts, would creep out of the building and get into the outdoor area. Even though as you can tell, I have severe hearing impairments, believe it or not, I can still hear what today passes for music. And I would prefer not to have to listen to that when I'm trying to sleep at night. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, can you speak to that at all? Especially, I think that's a valid concern concerning outdoor seating. What's the purpose of that outdoor seating?
So the outdoor seating would allow them to have kind of like a bistro, eat al fresco area, whether or not they open that up for an outdoor patio like you would see over at Flameburger. But that would allow them to do that. I'm not sure if their intention is to have a band out there or not, but just in case, that's the reason why we have that commitment that way.
Forgive me, are there any additional comments before we have further discussion by the board? Yes, ma'am, would you please come to the... All right, I wonder if there... We can hear you, yes. All right, very good.
President?
if
So the building was purchased for $256,000 in 2012. The intent of the building was, from the town's perspective, was to be a community center. Community center would also have a stage that would likely have musical venues in there as well. The old stage would be turned back into a stage. We would make it a concert venue, place for kids to go, place for families to go. Very similar to here. We've held bands. Bands have been in the gym. Bands have been outside. If I'm not mistaken, the way it's zoned now, somebody could buy it right now and turn it into a concert hall. Am I correct?
They could.
Without having to have approval of special exception.
You're correct. The general
Okay.
business allows that.
So the special exceptions for the brewery, right, as it sits right now in the general business zoning, somebody could buy it right now and turn it into a concert hall. You wouldn't have to approve that. That's already been approved. So.
It's been general business zone
For
a long time. I don't necessarily know.
20, this is a long time, since the 90s. So,
Ma'am, what was your name so we can get it on record and your address? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I've got health problems, and I don't appreciate the fact of having it outdoors. That's, if you have it indoors, I have no objections.
And I,
Outdoors and have a beer garden, no. I have grandkids, I have great-grandkids. It's just not safe for them to be around the beer garden.
okay.
All right, thank you. Are there any closing remarks from the petitioner?
Yeah, there's
All
more
right.
individuals.
I have one request to speak, so I'm watching my timer, and if there are any additional, please do let me know.
My question is,
Please
one,
state
Please
your
state your
name
name.
and your address, sorry.
Cronley Hurt, 105 Turner. My questions are, number one, if this does go outside, the trash that's left that blows through the yards, who's going to clean that up? The second thing that I have a question on, there's a church that sits right there. If I may be mistaken, I don't know the law that well, but isn't there some kind of law that you can't sell alcohol within certain feet of a church? Because that backs up right to a church. They have Sunday school there with small children. Has anybody looked at that?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we'll get to you.
That would be within the jurisdiction of the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. Not
Because the building is in a historic district, that rule does not apply. So it has been looked into. It has been designated a historic district, and because it's in a historic district, that amount of feet to the front door of a church does not apply.
Thank you, sir.
The 500-foot rule, because it's in a historic district, does not apply. It doesn't matter where anybody's door is. Okay.
Okay, I have some questions.
Do you mind
Yeah,
coming up
would
to
you
the
like to come to the
podium?
microphone, please?
Stating your name and your address, please.
Thank you.
Heidi Watson, I'm the Administrative Council Chairperson for Whitestown United Methodist Church. I don't know my church's address, it's on Main Street. It's right in front of the brewery. I was hoping the trustee chairperson will make it here, but he works in Indianapolis. I just barely made it here. We do have some concerns. We took a council meeting, emergency council meeting Sunday, because I didn't get a notification until I got back from vacation Sunday. So we have active member, about 13, 14 people every Sunday only. But we have a lot of members, even though they don't come to church Sunday because of ill health, they do support us financially in prayer and in their contribution monetary-wise. So for those that were there Sunday, we took a vote. Majority of the people there voted yes. for the good of the Whitestown, but we do have concerns because we do have church meetings, and not just on Sunday, and sometimes we have special programs. We allow the scouts on Tuesday night every week to use our church without charge, and we support the scout in everything they do. Scouts will be parking at our church at the front, but they also park around the back. According to the trustees, the back of the parking lot actually belongs to you guys, is that right? And we also own a parsonage, and we rented them out. And when our parking lot is full, we park at the parsonage area. And they do have small children and teenagers. And we are concerned for the safety, the noise. We also support a lot of community events. We have funeral service, we have benefit dinners for community persons in need. And all of this, if there's a brewery right there, they sell alcohol. It could have an impact on the church parking, the safety of the people, the teenagers, the scouts, and the children. What kind of safety measure police would take, or as a store, they sell liquors. We do have, there's some people, they get drunk, they do things. So what kind of safety measure the town is willing to take? So these are the major concerns, even though as a rule, we like to see the town grow, but to have a liquor store selling liquors right behind our church, we do have major concerns. So I like to hear what kind of measure the town police and store is taking. Thank you.
Thank you. We have hit the allotted time in our rules. Are there any others who would like to speak? All right, I believe as a board, we can choose to suspend that and listen to others, and we like to do that.
I think we
Yeah,
have lots of time, yeah.
all right, very good. I feel the same way. All right, yes, please.
Start. Marta Haza, 102 Turner Street. I live across the street from the property. I think that the staff report fails to even, mention that this property is located in the middle of a residential area, unlike LA Cafe, which is in the downtown area. This is not a commercial area, it is residential. And talking with neighbors, I think and I don't think anybody's really opposed to this, as Janice mentioned, but this is a stable neighborhood. I've been there 25 years. Neighbor across the street was there before me. Jim Gamble was there before me. Janice was there before me. People have lived there for decades. And so I think our concern is the area, the hours of operation. And I know that something states that they would be open 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. But that's a business thing. There's no guarantee to the neighborhood for that. And I think you have a responsibility to look out for the people that are there, not only the economic development of the town. So I would ask that the special exception, if approved, that it include restriction on hours of operation. Maybe that is 11 to 11, those days 11 to 12, but bar time I think is 3 o'clock in the morning, and that is just not appropriate. And this business may say that's what they're going to do, but this special exception goes with the land, and the next people that own the building or rent the building could decide they're going to be open until 3 o'clock in the morning. And so we'd ask that the special exception include that requirement in addition to the other ones that the planner has suggested. Thanks.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'd like to just clarify 2 items. One, this is not a liquor store. It's not classified as a liquor store. And, what was the other? It's not a liquor store. There's another thing, but now I forget. I'm sorry.
We can come back to you
I
in
have
the...
a question.
Oh, the noise. We haven't confirmed, and I'm sure you would love to speak on behalf of Moontown Brewery and kind of clarify some of these things, but we'll do that after the public conversation.
And I'd suggest that perhaps we wrap up our discussion here from the public in the order as the rules call, and then petitioner in the town can give their closing remarks, and then we as the board will have our discussion. I'm not suggesting that we wrap that up now. I'm suggesting that we wrap that up and then move on in the process as our rules require. So, sir, would you like to also speak?
Yeah, the only thing that
Can you please state your name and address, please, for the record as well?
Joe Cottrell, Whitestown, or 105 Turner Street.
Thank you.
And the only objection that I have is the weekends having a live band like on a weekly basis, and that's just way too close to all the homes. You're within 100 feet from most of the homes, and you're right in the center of it, and I don't want to put up with it every weekend. On holidays, Labor Day, July 4th, Memorial Day weekends, those are fine, but not on a weekly basis. Right.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak?
May I add,
Would you please come to the microphone? Would you please come to the microphone? Thank you.
Okay, added to what I said earlier, we do have scouts. There were 30-some scouts. They were like from Cub Scouts on to Weebler. There were 30 of them. They meet every Tuesday, plus their parents and sponsors. I'd still like to know how the town is going to address the liability of exposing to the scouts and the young children with selling alcohol right back of our church, and including the parking area. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe I don't see any others who'd like to speak, so then the next portion of the public discussion would be closing remarks by the petitioner. Are there any remarks from the town to close?
Mr. President, would you like Pete now? Would you like?
Sorry?
Would you like Moontown to come up now?
If they would like to be a part of the town's closing remarks, that'd be fine.
I think that would be good because I think there's a lot of myths floating around here.
Thank you, sir.
And myths and that can be clarified. And one thing I can tell you is that our police department is very well known for dealing with alcohol-related issues, to the point where all the businesses in this town that served alcohol in 2015 declared that they wanted to have a meeting with the chief because they thought that we were way too strict with alcohol issues in this town. So we have a reputation for that. Certainly safety is an issue. It's in studies of breweries and public houses, people don't necessarily go there. It's not like a tavern where you go to a tavern and you drink your Pabst Blue Ribbon for 4 hours and you go there maybe to get drunk. This is more, it's more for the demographic that really truly enjoys the taste of craft beer, just similar to wine. Now, can people get drunk on that? Absolutely. Will we have that issue? Well, sure we will. It's just like the LA Cafe, it's just like BW3, it's just like any place that happens to serve alcohol. You'll have the occasional issue with those related incidents. You know, the Boy Scouts this year for our Brewfest, the Boy Scouts could not get inside the fence, but the Boy Scouts actually were the people that were helping put on the wristbands for the 21-year-old and olders that were coming into the fence. So they were right there with Brewfest. They helped us out this year. They were a great group to do so. We can protect the children. This is a restaurant, a concert venue. It's not, I don't think Pete has any intention to turn it into the Vegas Strip at all. This is to take a building, put it on the tax rolls, fix up an important building to the town, while also thinking about the neighbors. We thought about them today. We had a meeting here in the town building today about the entrance and the exit, the entrance off of Main Street and making sure that the entrance for cars was off of Main Street. You know, we're going to improve the parking lot that is next to the church's parsonage. We own that as well. The town owns that. It used to be Nice Street. It's going to be a beautiful parking lot right now. It's really a very ugly gravel lot. It will not look that way when it is completed. And that'll benefit the church as well because to be a public lot, they can park there as well. So I'll yield the rest of my time to the Mattingleys.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. You need name and address.
Help, yes,
I'm
please.
Peter Mattingly. I live in 200 South in Zionsville. This is my brother, Todd.
I'm Todd Mattingly. I live at 8888 East 575 South, also in Boone County.
We are the principals of Moontown Properties, who own the building, and Moontown Brewing will be the operators of the brew pub and brewery. We entered this quest 15 months ago, about 30 years ago, about 18 months ago. And we've been home brewers living in this area for a long time. We've been looking for a space to put this kind of facility for the last 3 to 5 years. So this space was attractive because, one, we think it's a historic building that needed some help. Our day business is construction and restoring old buildings. So it was attractive to us for that reason. Two, it's a great place, we thought, to have a combination brewery, brew pub, and event center. The event center is inside, and it's our intention any concerts or events will be inside. We do have, make it clear, on Bower Street, intention for outdoor seating for dining. So there's no intention to have concerts in the outdoor seating. We also intend to, when we've talked about it, to live within the current hours, the hours of operation rules and noise ordinance within the town. We understand those. So other than that, again, we think it's a great opportunity. The other thing we've been excited about is being a part of the redevelopment and revitalization of downtown Whitestown. We think it's a great opportunity to do that and be a part of it. We're excited about that. We have also purchased a couple other lots in Whitestown, maybe to retire here as well. I'm getting that age as well, so I understand the concerns, but we think within the rules it's a great deal. So, thank you.
Yeah, I think the only thing I could add is, to some of your concerns, we are family people too. Right. We're one of 7 each. And my mother lives here in town. I've been in town for 35 years, so I appreciate, I've been in Boone County for 35 years, so I appreciate that. My mother has 80 descendants that live around this area. Right. So we do appreciate all levels of, I have children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. So we do understand it. I think if you look at this venue as a restaurant more than a bar, then I think that you would understand what our goal is here. And then like Pete said, I think there's an opportunity for Whitestown to have an event space for class reunions and those type of things, weddings and that type of thing. And we do appreciate the noise ordinances too, and the concerns of the neighbors, but we're family people. We're not looking to have a wild and crazy place, so to speak. We're just looking to have a business that we think will revitalize the area. That's what we're looking for.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may add one thing. A good example of one of these that took an old building that was about to fall down, and it's surrounded by residents, and somebody may say that downtown Indianapolis is different than where we are. I would tend to agree and tend to disagree, but St. Joseph's Brewery, which is down on 10th Street, actually it's on College, was an old Catholic church, and St. Joseph's Brewery took it over, completely renovated it. My kids and I, my wife and my 2 daughters, 17 years old and 12-year-old, we go there about twice a month because we love the poutine. We're not Canadians, but we love it. And it's really neat. My daughters like it. The bar is over here. The family seating is over here. I think that Pete and his team have a similar concept of come into the old high school, see what it was. When you go into St. Joseph's, it's an old church. The nave is still there. But they're making a very good craft beer product. Families can be in there. They have light music. We watched one of the NCAA games in there, my family and I did, and everybody made it out safe and alive. So, and it revitalized the neighborhood. It really did. And now there are $1 million condos that surround St. Joseph's. It's essentially in a residential slash retail slash restaurant type neighborhood in Mass Ave area. So very similar if you're reading the articles about these things. Like Pete said, this is not a nightclub. This is not a tavern. This is a place where artists make a product, and people come in and partake in that product, and families can do that as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. So this closes then the public discussion portion of this agenda item, and we move to the board's discussion. This is where comments and questions and discussion amongst the board members can occur. Are there any questions or comments from board members?
Just want to say thank you to everybody who did speak. I think it is exciting that we are actually revitalizing something that could be lost. When it comes to control, I have every confidence in our police force. I think they do a fantastic job, and I agree, Dax, that sometimes they say that we are too strict, but with someone who has small kids in this town, I actually appreciate that. And as far as alcohol being in the open, from where the alcohol is served, isn't that screened from, I don't want to say screened, but an area where someone 21 and under could not walk into? It has to be separated from the restaurant.
You're correct. Obviously, the tasting room would be separate from the restaurant area.
Okay.
Legally, it has to be.
Anyone else?
My only question was, it was mentioned at some point that if we make a special exception for the brewery, that would be a special exception for any brewery who wanted to come in?
Well,
For anybody, I mean, does it go beyond just what we're being presented with here? Does that
Well,
make sense? What I'm trying
so
to
the
ask?
definition of brewery within the UDO allows the production of brew or malt beverages. So one or the other, essentially. It's more defined in the UDO as far as the actual brewery definition, but that's what you guys are approving right now, yeah.
I do think it's good for the members to know it is not limited to just the applicants who are here before you tonight, that an approval of a special exception runs with the land. So if they were to sell it in the future to different owners, different operators, they would not, the new owners would not have to come back in for another approval.
That's
It
what I
would carry forward.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure I was clear on.
Yeah.
But that approval, again, what we're being asked to consider here is that we provide an exception, special exception for the purpose of allowing a brewery use, which is a specific use. It is not we are not allowing
bar.
for a liquor store or a
liquor
bar.
store,
It is a defined brewery use, correct?
Correct, yeah. A liquor store is actually allowed in the general business uses, so this could potentially be a liquor store. It'd be a massive liquor store, but that would be one of the things that you could allow regardless of the zoning that it is right now.
Any other questions or
Yeah,
comments?
so there was quite a bit of discussion about noise coming from the building, whether it be inside the building, outside the building. Not being an expert on the noise ordinances, I would assume, and this is where you two can step in, but I would assume that there are ordinances in place that would limit how much noise, when the noise, where the noise is coming from, so on and so forth. So if there is, I think it would behoove us to inform the public what those ordinances are.
There is a current noise ordinance, and I have it right in front of me. It was adopted in 1992, and it's very outdated. It references phonographs, which I'm not sure if I've even seen one in my lifetime, to be honest, but
Oh, God bless you.
we put a draft in front of council,
I
maybe
think
in
Dax
January.
has one in his office, if I remember right.
So council has
No,
seen
no
a draft
LP?
of this amended ordinance. There are decibel levels that they have to abide by, but it's not an approved draft whatsoever. So we'll work with council to make sure that the noise ordinance is correctly worded and updated, for that matter.
It is the sort of thing this board would have jurisdiction over to enforce noise levels to impose commitments regarding noise levels or restrictions on the hours of operation or the hours in which live music could be had. Those could be more strict than what is in the general ordinances of the town based on your review of the special exception. I'm not necessarily advocating that you should do that, but you would have the power to do that.
Well, I think the petitioners made a point that it would be inside, and to your point, I think the ordinances would address that to a point where we, as a board, probably would not need to step in and put any further restrictions. My opinion, obviously, so.
Another item, since they said that their hours of operation are 11 to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and then to 12 a.m. Friday to Saturday. That's typical hours if you're running out of space in event space. Trust me, I'm in the wedding process right now. And so normally they don't exceed that 12 a.m. time. So if you wanted to, you could say any event space that's being rented out to limit it to a certain time. But that's up to you to discuss. Just throwing that out there.
Any further discussion?
No.
Can I still ask a question, even though it's close to the public?
Board, would we like to hear another question?
Sure.
Any disagreement? Yes, ma'am, please.
When
I'm sorry again, would you please come to the microphone?
When the church has meetings or funeral dinners and weddings, it's during their business hour, and they are so close. I mean, our church is very close to the Moontown property right now. What can they notify the church, or can we notify them to tone it down so it won't interfere with the church functions?
I believe,
Especially on Tuesday nights, we have